My name is Renee Wilson Simmons, and as Executive Director of the ACE Awareness Foundation in Memphis, and on behalf of Building Strong Brains Tennessee, it is my distinct honor to be here today to move all of us through this impressive program. It's going to be enlightening, it's going to be energizing, and it's going to be inspiring.
And AC got up at the end of it and he said, I am determined, and this city is determined, to not lose another generation of Memphis children.
Thank you, Jim. It is a pleasure to be here with you here today. I think that this is a shining example of the unprecedented cooperation that we have seen during Governor Haslam's administration between the three branches of government here in Tennessee.
Chrissy and I are honored to be a part of this and to see the faces around this room. It's fitting then that we would come together today to focus on preventing trauma and the community conditions that contribute to trauma.
So it is really largely thanks to all of you in this room here today that we're able to reflect on how far we've come as a state. We've come a long way in mitigating and preventing, hopefully, adverse childhood experiences and promoting recovery, in educating the public about ACEs and trauma-informed care, in changing the culture in Tennessee. And I do think we're starting to change the culture from asking what's wrong with this child to what happened to this child.
Thank you for being a part of this day. As we look to the future, we can do this in Tennessee. We can lead the nation in preventing trauma. We can lead the nation in eliminating adverse childhood experiences. We can do that here. On behalf of 6.6 million Tennesseans today, and a whole lot who aren't here today but will benefit from what you're talking about, thank you. It is an exciting time to be a part of what's happening in Tennessee. Thanks so much.
It's my privilege to introduce our first speaker, Nat Kendall Taylor, who is the CEO of the Frameworks Institute, which is a communications think tank in Washington, D.C.
There are things that we can do in this room together to confront, to roll back, to shift, to make room for other ways of thinking among these increasingly dominant streams of American culture. So if we want to change these things, and this is essentially what I think about the Building Strong Brains initiative is about, we have to have two things. The first thing is a framing strategy. We have to have a message. We have to have a story. We have to have a meta-narrative that we can share. And I'm not going to go into this in any great depth, but this, by and large, is the content that a huge number of people in this state have been trained to use and deliver in their work. This is the kind of core story of adversity and child development. The second thing that we need, so we have the content, the framing, the story, right? But that cannot do anything unless we have a communications or a mobilization strategy to use to get that narrative, to get those frames out into the world. The good news is that culture can and does change. And it changes in response to the stories that we collectively tell.
There is new science. In the last decade, there's an incredible amount of new science in biology, in neurobiology, in epigenetics and genetics. All kinds of different fields have opened up this black box. So we've known for decades that there are these disparities in outcomes for children. On the one hand, you have children who do well in learning and behavior and health and well-being, and on the other hand, you have children who don't. We haven't ever really understood why or how that happens. We've had some sense that there's this combination of factors between supportive experiences and negative experiences, between parents and genes, and they all go into a child growing up, and come out the other side comes these outcomes. What the science can help us do is see that all these things do in fact have a role, but they interact with each other. They shape each other and change each other. And now we can begin to look at the molecular level to see what's actually going on inside the body as a result of all those external factors. So to be more precise about the impact that we're having, we need to be able to answer, what about the program works? Not just does it work, but what about it works? How does it work? What actual causal mechanisms is it changing? For whom does it work? For whom does it not work? And in what contexts is it working? So the work you're doing here in Tennessee is making you poised to be able to move the entire field forward.
I'd like to give you all an invisible gift, a gift of a silent minute to think about those who have helped you become who you are today.
Bonnie and I would like to give you the same invisible gift, to take 1 minute of complete silence to think about one person who helped you become the person you are today.
Mr. Rogers once said, as human beings, our job in life is to help people to realize how rare and valuable each one of us really is. That each of us has something no one else has or ever will have. Something inside that is unique to all time. It is our job to encourage each other to discover that uniqueness and to provide ways of developing its expression.
Since I come from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, which is the largest foundation in this country spending its money only on health, I am going to contribute to your health. The US government released at the census tract level, so that's the neighborhood level, life expectancy at birth for every child in this country. So if you want to go to your neighborhoods, rural, urban, or suburban, anywhere in Tennessee or anywhere in the country, you can now go and find life expectancy at birth for every child in your community. And you can begin to say, why is it that children on that side of the street and children on that side of the street don't have the same opportunity for a long life? What's going on in our places that within this community, compared to a community that's 5 blocks away or 5 miles away, children don't all have the same opportunity for a long life? So the conditions, just as we heard earlier from Al, the conditions early in a child's life, as you all know, are critical, not only to brain development, as we talk about executive function, but how much that child is going to earn throughout that child's life, the economic opportunity of that child. And we now know it through a randomized controlled trial. And we now know it through a randomized controlled trial that has been scrutinized by everybody. So simply moving children to better neighborhoods with the same families makes a difference to the economic opportunities of those children. And we can all think about, is that because those children's executive function is better? Is that because their cognitive function is better? Is that because? The reality of the situation is we could all put together a simple message. Children who grow up with opportunity use that opportunity and do better, and the earlier we move those children, the better they do. If we wait until they're adults, we don't see any effect. It is critical to do the right thing for every child early in life if we want every child to have an opportunity in this country. In Tennessee, about $40 million each year comes from hospitals for community health improvement and community building. Change the conditions. Think bigger. Don't just think, how do we take damaged children and help them? That's really important, but think bigger. In a generation, what would it be like if children no longer experienced trauma? If we don't believe it can happen, it won't. In your hearts, you have to begin to believe that we can have a society, we can have states and cities where children no longer have to experience trauma. Thank you for all you do.
It's great to be here today to take a quick look through the state via the ACEs-related activities in various sectors that have garnered nationwide attention.
We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. And that is so very, very true. So I hope that we channel the energy, the creativity, the wisdom that was shared during these sessions into actions that help us meet the very consequential responsibilities that lie ahead.